Kate. What's the business community's response to President Rouhani's speech in Davos?
Hi, Catherine. Cautious optimism is really the only way to describe it. Business leaders in Davos have welcomed the speech, but said they were in no rush to start investing in Iran. Iran's economy is in desperate need of a boost. GDP has been steadily shrinking, and oil exports have fallen to a third of 2011 levels. So the impact of Rouhani's outreach could be crucial. Claire Murphy explains.
It's the first time an Iranian leader has come to Davos in a decade. President Rouhani's central message, the Islamic Republic is open for business.
The events and developments of the past 6 years in the global economy have shown that no one can live alone. No country can solve its problems on its own whilst disregarding others.
On the sidelines, Rouhani met with Western oil executives, promising a new model for oil investment by September. Many business leaders remain cautious but upbeat.
Sanctions against Iran still exist, and as long as they exist, we cannot export or develop the Iranian market. That said, the fact that President Rouhani is in Davos and the nuclear talks have now resumed makes us more optimistic. I think that as soon as the sanctions are lifted, the market will take off.
Meanwhile, 5,000 kilometres away, Iran's vast gas reserves have been put on show. A tour for the media of an almost completed facility in the south of the country, aiming to illustrate to investors the energy sector's potential and attempting to attract overseas partners with the know-how to finalise production. And as the international community considers that process of lifting sanctions, a settlement in the US by a bank accused of violating them. The U.S. Treasury Department says the Luxembourg-based financial clearinghouse Clearstream Banking will pay $152 million to settle allegations that it illegally helped Iran's central bank access the American financial system in 2007 and 2008. Now, here in France, another development for Goodyear's soon-to-be-closed tire plant in the northern city of Amiens. On Wednesday, unions reached a deal on severance packages, tripling their benefits. Now the American tire titan Maurice Taylor is considering getting involved. You may remember that last year he refused to buy the plant and harshly criticized the French work ethic. Since the union deal, though, he's been offering to meet France's industry minister for a drink and a discussion. In a letter to Arnaud Montebourg, he says that if Goodyear reaches out, his firm Titan will open talks with the workers' unions. He expressed confidence that together they can turn Amiens back into a prosperous factory. It's a saga that's been very closely followed here in France as a symbol of the country's industrial decline. Maurice Taylor has already made quite an impression here, so we'll see if he continues with his French outreach. Let's move on now to Spain, where that sky-high unemployment rate shows no signs of reversing. It was stuck at just over 26% in the last 3 months of 2013, with the number of job seekers hitting 5.9 million. The economy did manage to squeak out of recession last year. Initial figures show growth of about 0.3% for the fourth quarter. Now, it hasn't been enough to create jobs, but analysts and the government are optimistic that the tide has been turned.
We believe we are going through a stabilization process in the jobless numbers. It's a fact. We are still close to 6 million people out of work. But even so, we see signs of improvement. We have to maintain that small improvement. We are aware jobs are not being created, but we think there will be net job creation in 2014, and it will be a good year for job creation.
Let's take a look at the markets now. We've seen red across the board. Some disappointing manufacturing data from both the US and China has sent shares down. Wall Street ending the day in negative territory, the Dow closing over 170 points down. The Argentine peso plunged 11% against the dollar, the sharpest one-day drop in over a decade. Earlier this week, we saw Argentina's central bank spending $120 million trying to defend its currency on the market, but seems to have let it slide on Thursday. It was a bad day for European shares as well. The CAC 40 here in Paris closing down over 1%. Germany's DAX down nearly the same, despite some new data showing that factory orders are flooding in January. No happy meals at McDonald's, as the fast food chain says its global sales slipped in 2013. Overall sales dipped just 0.1%. The crucial emerging markets of Asia, the Middle East and Africa saw a nearly 3% slowdown. Its fourth quarter income was barely higher than a year ago at $1.4 billion. The company, which has been trying to cater more to healthy eaters, said it had been a challenging year. It's powering ahead, though, and planning to open another 1,600 restaurants to add to its 34,000 worldwide. That's all the business news for now. I'll send it back to you, Catherine.
Thanks very much, Kate Moody, keeping us up to date with everything happening in the business world there. Now, here on Live from Paris, it's time for Media Watch. James Creedon joins me in the studio for that. Hi there, James.
Catherine.
Now, we're looking at the continuing rumours and scandals and sagas surrounding